Oh man, Sam Bankman-Fried has just been ordered released from jail. This comes after the SEC complaint revealed that Carolyn Ellison, his girlfriend, and another top executive have potentially have worked with authorities to turn Sam Bankman-Fried in and reveal his lies and the corruption at the now bankrupt trading platform FTX. Which is pretty disgusting, especially since FTX was one of the few brokerage platforms that actually incorporated TradingView into their platform. TradingView, by the way, is still a great technical analysis tool, but boy, you don't have to do much technical analysis on this market to know which direction it's going, and that's straight down. So what do we have here? Well, this just out minutes ago. Sam Bankman-Fried to be released on $250 million bail. I wonder where, first of all, they're getting $250 million from. I'd really like to know that. He's apparently going to go live with mommy and daddy in Northern California, and he's going to get to wear an ankle bracelet as he's on house arrest. So I guess you'll get to see him in video game world, which is kind of remarkable that he's getting released because this stuff's probably going to be, I would guess this trial is going to take 1 or 2 years before criminal sentencing is actually completed, and then he's remanded to real prison. But let's take a look at a little bit of the news release. Sam Bankman-Fried will be released on $250 million bail deal. I guess technically, though, if your bail's $250 million, you probably would. Isn't it 10% down payment usually? You get like a bail bond maybe, which would mean the parents would still have to come up with like a $25 million down payment for a bond if they were to get a bond. Anyway, a New York federal judge ruled Thursday he was indicted in the Southern District of New York on 8 counts, including securities fraud and money laundering. The judge would require strict supervision following his release to his parents' home in California. His parents, both Stanford law professors, were present in the courtroom. Bankman-Fried was flanked by 2 U.S. Marshals dressed in a suit and a tie. They would put up equity in their home to partially satisfy bail conditions. I see. Okay, so again, you're going to have to somehow, so even if you got a bond for 25 mil, I mean, they'd have to have a really expensive home for that even to do damage to that $25 million bond that it would get. I don't know. I'm sure they've also hid money away. Anyway, as part of the release, Sam Bankman-Fried would be released into the custody of his parents' homes. Bankman-Fried has previously claimed that he was down to a mere $100,000 and that he sees his net worth as negative. At the same time, we have some information that, the SEC released the complaint against him. And, dang it, hold on a second. Let me pull it up over here. The SEC released the complaint against him, and I want to show it to you. We'll do it on this one. Yeah, there we go. Oh, that's much better. The complaint was highlighted by Compound248 on Twitter, so shout out to them. Thank you for this. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of the highlights of the actual complaint against him. Right as we go into this, I want to just quickly remind you that we have a holidays coupon going on for the amazing programs for long-term wealth building, especially real estate investing. That's going to be a big deal going forward. Do-it-yourself property management, rental renovations. Of course, stocks and psychology of money, elite hustlers, learn how to make more money during recessionary times, build a business, grow your business, increase your income. And then, of course, the other programs. Check those out. Use that coupon down below. And if you have bundle requests, send me an email at kevin@meetkevin.com. We'll get you a bundle that's customized in case you don't see a bundle that works for you. So what do we have here? Bankman-Fried and Wang improperly diverted customer assets to Alameda Research. We already knew this, right? Alameda Research was Sam Bankman-Fried's hedge fund. Wang created and participated in the creation of software code that allowed Alameda to divert FTX customer funds. So in other words, they knew exactly what they were doing. They designed code that automatically moved money over to Alameda. So they knew they were gambling with customer money, which is exactly what they said they were not doing. Just a blatant lie. It's blatant fraud. This, by the way, just to be clear, is the SEC complaint, which is a form of a lawsuit. These are the allegations by the SEC put together with the help of Sam Bankman-Fried's one-time girlfriend, Carolyn Ellison. And let's go ahead and go through some of the other details. I want to show you, I suppose I could show you quickly the press release as well. This is the SEC press release on that. The SEC also did charge Carolyn Ellison and Gary Wang, the former chief technology officer at FTX, for their roles in the multi-year scheme to defraud equity investors. Apparently, they had started cooperating with authorities, and as a result of that, these other executives are also expected to be released on bail. Take a listen to this. Federal prosecutors endorsed plans to allow Gary Wang and Carolyn Ellison to post bail after both pleaded guilty to supporting a multi-billion-dollar fraud allegedly perpetrated by Sam Bankman-Fried, and in connection basically with their cooperation with authorities. They're expected to maybe get reduced sentence and have struck plea deals, though the details of those of the pleas for them haven't come out yet. And then it's not clear if Sam Bankman-Fried has any kind of plea deal yet. But let's go back to the SEC complaint and the allegation here. So Ellison in turn used misappropriated FTX customer funds for Alameda's trading activity, and Bankman-Fried used customer funds to make undisclosed venture investments, lavish real estate purchases, and large political donations. In essence, Bankman-Fried and Wang placed billions of dollars into FTX customer funds in Alameda. Bankman-Fried then used Alameda as his personal piggy bank to buy luxury condos, support political campaigns, and make private investments, among other things. This again back to the SEC lawsuit here. Ellison and Bankman, at Bankman's direction, caused Alameda to borrow billions of dollars from third-party lenders backed by FTT. Remember the hell that causes, okay? If you're borrowing money backed by FTT and FTT goes down, then your collateral goes down, which makes you more likely to be margin called. If your collateral and FTT goes down, then the value of the company, FTX, could go down. But if the value of FTX goes down, the value of FTT goes down. And you get this death spiral between the two. It's really bad. And that's why a lot of people are now raising eyebrows at the BNB, thinking, does Binance do this? You know, Binance obviously says they don't, but you know, this, and there are a lot of analytic platforms that are saying no, you know, Binance is different. And so we'll see what happens with Binance. I've done quite a few videos on Binance. Just type Meet Kevin Binance into YouTube, you'll see him. Let's keep going with the lawsuit here. Ellison, acting at the direction of Bankman-Fried, engaged in automated purchases of FTT tokens on various platforms in order to increase those prices and inflate the value of Alameda's collateral. Listen to this. So basically, they could print the FTT token, potentially then using as much FTT token as they want, and then use customer funds to go buy the FTT token to make it seem like that inflation was not happening by propping up the value of the FTT, the FTX token. Crazy. Bankman-Fried and Wang, with Ellison's knowledge and consent, had exempted Alameda from risk mitigation measures, so margin calls, and they basically had an unlimited line of credit funded by the platform's customers. When prices of crypto assets plummeted in May, Alameda's lenders demanded repayment on billions of dollars of loans. Look at that. They had billions of dollars of margin calls, basically. Despite the fact that Alameda by this point had already taken billions of dollars of FTX customer assets, it was unable to satisfy those loans. So they already screwed up, robbing people of billions of dollars, got margin called on those billions of dollars, and then still had not enough money to satisfy the margin calls, despite the fact that they were freely using customer funds. Bankman-Fried, with the defendant's knowledge, directed FTX to divert billions of dollars of more customer assets to Alameda to ensure Alameda maintained its lending relationship. So then they funneled potentially the rest of the money over from FTX to Alameda. Keep in mind, at one point, I kid you not, Sam Bankman-Fried wanted to open a stock brokerage, and he would have done the same thing. People who bought stocks on FTX would have probably just seen their actual shares, their actual collateral moved to Alameda. It's disgusting. I mean, this is a huge fraud. It's so bad. Gensler is now coming out saying crypto firms must do more to segregate customer funds. Really? Like, look, I respect the SEC, but like, yes. And if we had clear regulation, it would be easier for that to happen. So, but that's not his fault. You know, I think Congress needs to step up their game and actually get in and start regulating. Do their freaking job. This brazen multi-year scheme finally came to an end when FTX, Alameda, and their tangled web of affiliated entities filed for bankruptcy on November 11th, 2022. Sam Bankman-Fried owned more than 90% of the company, with Wang owning about 10% of the company. Bankman-Fried was the CEO of Alameda from its inception until around October 2021, at which time Carolyn Ellison, and Sam Trabucco became co-CEOs. Now, Sam is this guy who buys a bunch of restaurants, and he kind of became like a hometown hero because he had so much money to donate to political entities. I wouldn't be surprised if he should be ready for an SEC lawsuit coming his way as well. You know, he'd typically post pictures of him out at the beach, you know, while crises are happening and unfolding around in the crypto world. Just crazy. Okay, what else do we have? In and around May, Sam Bankman-Fried directed FTX engineers, including Wang, to exempt Alameda from the auto liquidation feature of FTX's spot margin trading services. Wow, in May of 2020. That's interesting. This has been going on, the exempting from margin, since the COVID pandemic. Alameda was the only customer exempted from FTX's automatic liquidation. We are at arm's length, and we don't get any different treatment from other market makers, says Sam Bankman-Fried. Straight line. Actually, that was Ellison saying that. Carolyn Ellison saying that. Although Sam Bankman-Fried has claimed that as well. Yeah, Sam Bankman-Fried here saying there are no parties that have privileged access. Both of these, just complete fraud and so wrong. Alameda was not required to pay interest on the liability reflected in the fiat@ftx.com account. In other words, even though they were borrowing customer accounts, they weren't even paying interest on it. Crazy. Alameda's portion, which accounted to more than $8 billion in FTX customer assets, had been deposited into Alameda-controlled bank accounts, and then was initially moved into different accounts at the FTX database. However, because this change caused FTX's internal systems to automatically charge Alameda interest on more than $8 billion of liability, Bankman-Fried directed that Alameda's liability be moved to another account that would not be charged interest. Oh, God, it's so fraudulent. It's so bad. So bad. Some more notes here from the complaint. I'm just going through mostly the highlighted segments right now. I've read a lot of this, and I want to get you the most interesting pieces. A lot of allegations about Alameda manipulating the market price of FTT, and as a result, further inflating the value of its collateral. It's touched on that as well a little bit. FTT was offered and sold as an investment contract. These are basically the claims by the SEC against them to suggest that these were potentially really securities, which then this becomes securities fraud, right? Defendants Bankman-Fried valued the FTT affiliated token at its trading prices, but collateral deposited by Alameda was not worth the value assigned to it. Alameda and FTX collectively owned the majority of these tokens, and only a small portion of the FTT affiliated tokens were in circulation. Okay, now that's really important, because remember, if you own 99% of, let's say, $100, right? Let's say we have 100. We'll try to do a real example here, okay? Let's say I say this headset cover right here is worth $100, but I'm going to sell you 1/100th of it for $1,000. Well, now all of a sudden, technically, the value of this, if you buy 1/100th of this for $1,000, the value of this just skyrocketed to $100,000. So you created a market value for me by paying me $1,000 for 1/100th of this case. Now, can I go to the market and sell this for the other $99,000? Of course not, because it's not worth that. But because somebody paid me $1,000, I can reasonably say on my balance sheet, well, it's worth a $99,000 asset. That's the kind of stuff that they were doing at the balance sheets or on the balance sheets for FTX and Alameda. See, value their FTT token at trading prices, but collateral deposited was not worth the value assigned to it because they owned the majority of the tokens and it could never actually be sold for that much. Listen to this. Alameda actually programmed automatic trading tools or bots to conduct trades and execute transactions to purchase FTT at specific prices. So, I mean, to me, those sound like limit orders. So for them to call them bots, it would have to be like, there has to be more probably fraud to it, right? I'm sure there is. But it's interesting because what you're really seeing here is you're seeing the SEC allege that Sam Bankman-Fried had bots to pump up his own token. On more than one occasion, Alameda and Ellison at Bankman-Fried's direction actively engaged in the trading of FTT with the goal of supporting the price of the token. On occasions, Alameda adjusted the trading parameters of its trading bots in order to support the price of FTT. This is disgusting fraud. FTT was offered and sold as an investment contract. This is again going back to this being a security. Okay, we read that segment already. That was the bots segment. Loans from Alameda totaling more than $1.3 billion, including 2 instances in which Bankman-Fried was both the borrower in his individual capacity and the lender in his individual capacity. So he's lending to himself. Ellison knew or was reckless in not knowing about these loans. Bankman-Fried used commingled funds from Alameda to make large political donations and purchase tens of millions of dollars of Bahamian real estate for himself. Wang executed the promissory notes, different promissory notes, totaling more than $224 million. They were not intended for his personal use, but were instead used by Sam Bankman-Fried for other purposes, including venture investments. However, Wang did withdraw $200,000 for his own purposes. Loans were poorly documented and at times not documented at all. Remember, these folks would use disappearing messages in like Slack communications. They would use disappearing messages because they knew they were a fraud. FTX customers withdrew approximately $5 billion from the platform in one day. At the same time, Bankman-Fried sought emergency funding and eventually had to file for bankruptcy. This could potentially go down as one of the greatest frauds of a century. It's crazy. How much was the Bernie Madoff Ponzi? Bernie Madoff, let's find out. 64, at one point he was worth 64. Oh, that was bigger then. If his net worth was 64 billion at one point, that was actually even bigger. All right, well, it's certainly the biggest fraud of a decade. Money missing from clients' accounts was about 65 billion, about 14 of which has been recovered. Jesus Christ. Well, folks, all I can tell you now is use coupon code HOLIDAYS and join me, because this morning in the course member live stream, I went through a clear outline. Watch the live stream. If you join today, watch the live stream. There's a full archive of live streams. I went through when I think the market's going to bottom and the catalyst to pay attention to, both for real estate and stocks. It's a really interesting thesis. Check it out. I do these sorts of videos on a daily basis when the market is open, the course member live streams. And if you join, you get lifetime access. You get forever access to these programs on building your wealth. So that way, if I flip-flop in 5 years on something and you're like, hey, I wonder what that dude Kevin's up to. Why is he flip-flopping again? You have lifetime access on it. You have an option on my knowledge for life if you join the courses on building your wealth. So check those out. I think they're really, really incredible. Whatever you want to call it. Group therapy, fundamental understanding portfolio allocation understanding, insights and education. Check it out. Really appreciate y'all. In 4 minutes, I will be live with Ross Gerber. So go ahead and click on over to that video if you'd like, and we'll see you soon.